Hey, happy Wednesday morning, and thank you for joining us for the webinar today. Oh, you know what? I have to start it first. That's on me. Here we go. Well, good Wednesday morning, and thank you for joining us for the webinar today. We're going to get started in just a few minutes here. First, before we do that, we always do like to go over our webinar procedures, and essentially it's always the same. Audio is from us to you. That means you don't have to worry about having a microphone. You can still communicate with us throughout the course of the webinar, and we encourage you to do so. Please utilize the Q&A feature that you'll find on the Zoom toolbar to send us all your questions and comments. We like to use that feature as if there's anything we cannot address during the course of the webinar that all the content that goes to Q&A is automatically saved, so we can follow up later. I do want to do a quick audio test, and we'll utilize that Q&A feature. If you can hear me now and it sounds good, just type a Y or a yes, good morning, whatever you want into that Q&A. That will confirm that things are working well for us. And you should also be viewing the first page of the PowerPoint on your screen today. If you don't see that, have audio issues or any other technical problems, again, you can use that Q&A feature to notify us. So my part is done. I will step aside and we'll begin the webinar.
Good morning and welcome to our final Wednesday webinar of the year. My name is Yukiko Hayashi Sagil and I work with the Washington Student Achievement Council. I want to thank you for attending. We are going to be presenting with the Washington College Access Network, who is one of our really wonderful partners, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Well, hello and good morning. Thank you so much for having us today. My name is Michelle Alejano.
And I'm Josh Bellinger.
And we're part of a 10-person Washington College Access Network team in the state of Washington.
So thank you so much for being a part of this webinar. We really do appreciate it. Today we're going to be talking about college signing days and transitioning into college. So first I'm going to have my colleagues from the Washington College Access Network take over and start us off with college signing days.
Hello everyone, this is Michelle again. Thanks so much for entering us, Yukiko. On today's webinar, we will be covering the background of College Signing Day and the ways that you and your school can participate in this opportunity. So first, a little bit about us. So we are the Washington College Access Network. We're one of about 25 statewide college access networks in the nation. We're housed at the College Success Foundation. A little bit about our mission. We believe that all students can pursue a post-secondary education. And our work is to ensure that students have the support from a trusted adult, the information they need to be successful, and the access to all financial aid opportunities available to them. We are especially focused on the College Bound Scholarship Program and the inspiration and incentive that College Bound can provide to close the attainment gap and for students experiencing poverty. A little bit on our term college. So when we use the term college, we're referring to the attainment of a valuable post-secondary credential beyond high school. So that's a whole bunch of things, including professional technical certificates and academic degrees. And I know we'll talk a little bit more about how that plays out in school culture and especially around college signing days.
Thank you. So really with the idea of our college signing days and really what we want to make sure we're promoting is that, you know, in the state of Washington, students, you know, dream about the moment of the conclusion of their education and looking at high school graduation really as a milestone that's been met. And really with the reframing we want to do is we want to shift into a kind of an idea or a belief that college signing celebrations really change things from not being high school graduation as the conclusion, but really as just one milestone or just a continuation in the journey for them to be able to kind of go on beyond high school and to be able to seek any opportunity, as we said before, as far as the kind of the term of college, any opportunity that's post-secondary beyond high school. So we want to get students excited about seeing signing celebrations as the opportunity to just kind of advance themselves and really just get excited about what opportunities are going to happen after high school.
So the reason why we really like to promote this idea of future plans and credentials after high school is, again, the benefits of going to college. College defined as 2-year, 4-year, post-secondary, very big, and that also includes military. So in our state, I'm sure you've all seen the statistic, by 2020, there are going to be 740,000 job openings. 70% of those job openings are projected to require a post-secondary credential. And just a few other fun things to think about within that. Jobs for an AA degree earner have grown by 83% since 1991. And over 99% of job openings in the US within the past 6 years went to people with more education than a high school diploma. So again, going back to reframing the story arc, we believe as a nation, under this college signing celebration, that it's about taking charge of that future, and that after graduation milestone, you have a whole other journey to get a credential. And we want to celebrate that.
All right. So kind of, if you're thinking in your head, kind of like I was thinking when I first heard about college signing celebrations, I was thinking about like, what's the idea around this? Like, what is the premise of this? Well, a little bit of background is initially, and those of you that kind of are familiar with it, college signing celebrations were pretty synonymous with athletes and high school athletes deciding, which college they were going to go to. Obviously, the picture up on the screen kind of shows, there's a couple different options, and really we made a really, really big deal about what specific college that student was going to further their education through athletics at. And while that is an awesome thing, I think that this was something to where we could piggyback on this and really kind of create a culture of not just one or 5 to 6 individuals be able to get praise and accolades for making this decision, but really make this a school-wide culture. So that's kind of where the premise of signing day came from, is we want to celebrate all students that are deciding to think about their future and really commit to doing something beyond high school. I would honestly say too, is I know we've been talking about kind of the premise of what college is, but we really want to debunk the whole idea. If a student is going to a 2-year college or a technical college, that somehow lessens the idea that their choice is less than a student going to say a 4-year college. We really want to put all students on a level playing field. Well, let's also add military in there as well. We want to make sure that every student, every pathway is celebrated. And we're going to go through it in a little bit, but we're going to show you a couple ways where you can do that. But really the premise is taking it from, like I said, just a singular thing, but really making a school-wide culture. All right. So kind of with the idea of college signing celebrations or just signing celebrations, we want to help a student really determine their pathway after high school. And really what the idea is we want to make this a school-wide thing, okay? So we want to support these signing celebrations with the Washington College Access Network. And we're going to tell you a little bit about how to kind of get signed up, register. We have so many resources out there for schools to be able to do this, but we really want to make this something to where, like I said, all schools are participating in the state of Washington. Obviously, if you have seniors, we want to make sure that those seniors kind of go out with a bang, but we really want to see the underclassmen that are able to see that happening and kind of visualize themselves to be able to say, you know what, I also want to get my signing celebration in, and kind of make it a prideful thing. So we really want to make sure we have an idea. I love the photo booth ideas that are very, very creative that schools have come up with. There's so many resources out there, and we're going to talk a little bit more about those in a second.
So before we get into resources, we kind of want to wave the Washington State flag. So this is a national phenomenon. There are many states that do college signing celebrations. But hey, we're at the top of the list in terms of schools that participate in the nation. In 2018, we were able to award, and we'll talk a little bit about this in a second, 39 seed grants to jumpstart new schools into doing college signing events. We gave away 60 pretty awesome party packs. And then, this looks kind of funky on my slide. I don't know if it looks correct on yours, but 129 schools hosted events. In total, that was 100,000 students last year that participated in college signing events. And when we say 100,000, we mean both the seniors that were being celebrated for making plans for their future and all of the underclassmen who were able to witness that. So it really became a phenomenon in our state last year, across our state, in all corners and in all geographies. So I bet you're wondering a little bit about what that means in terms of tools and resources. So what can we do to help you? If you go to our website, www.waukegan.org/college signing, you'll notice we have a few things that you can do. First, as you see, there's a way to register your event. So on that page, there's a button that says register for your event. So if we click to the next slide, you'll see that when you register for your event, this is going to be a super easy process. There's a 3-step way that you can apply for either a support award or a party pack. So first, you'll complete the form information. And then second, you'll answer the I am question by selecting one. Either I am registering my event with the campaign, or I am requesting a college signing celebration starter party pack, or I am applying for a seed grant. And then after you do that, you'll click submit. So before we go any further, I do want to talk a little bit about what you would expect with each of those IMs. So registering your event with us is simply letting us know that you're a part of this national mobilization. We want to honor you, we want to put you on the map, and truly we are showcasing our state to the rest of the country. So we're linked into the national campaign and we're able to tell folks, hey, look, here's all of us who participated. If you are requesting a starter party pack, what you're going to get from this is, and we do have limited supply, so you're going to want to act fast. You'll get a banner that says College Signing Celebration that students can sign. We're talking vinyl and grommets, people. This is a fancy banner. We have pennants from local institutions. So a lot of higher ed institutions have sent us their pennants to share with schools. And then we have a couple other party favors like streamers and celebratory items. Lastly, if you are a brand new school that's just starting to do a college signing celebration and you're looking for that jump start, so never done a college signing celebration before, you can apply for the seed grant. And what we'll be doing is either sending you a Visa check card or a check, which would allow you then to buy the supplies you need to do your first party. So again, those are your 3 IM options and a little bit more about what they are. We do kindly ask, because we're getting very close to the launch, that you get in and do this form within this week. So after this webinar, if you're inspired and feeling ready to go and you haven't registered your event, this is the week to do it. Again, I've tested it. It's probably 2 minutes tops to fill out this form. So let's talk now a little bit about some of the tools that we have on our website that you can access.
Perfect. So the cool thing about these tools is I see these as just extra resources for you. So these are things, obviously, you know, I've been in a role as a counselor and as somebody who has to work directly with kind of creating these events. And I think one of the things that has been a challenge for me is, do I have to create certificates for students? Do I have to create signage? Do I have to get stuff for the photo booth? Well, that's the cool thing about these already created materials. All I did literally was just print them all out and put them over the school. Obviously, it gives you an opportunity to put the time and the date and the location. And I just printed them and literally fluttered the school with the signing celebration tags. And at the school I was at, it was the very first year of doing it. So it got a lot of interest and a lot of excitement around there too. So these resources, like I said, are just time-saving tools to be able to help yourself as either a counselor or administrator, somebody working in the schools, to be able to save some time and be able to utilize these resources as well. Okay,
we want to dive in a little bit to what does this look like? So say you're one of our new schools and you're seeking inspiration. We're going to give you in these next few slides a few examples of some really rad, amazing, creative schools across the state of Washington. So first, this is Lakeside High School out on the east side, and they did a Pop for a Plan. So pretty simple, but setting up very centrally in their school and using pretty, basic school supplies. They wrote the sign up, and they allowed for a full day of students could come and get a free soda as long as they were there to discuss their post-secondary plans with a counselor. Front and central in front of the school, and a way for students who were doing post-secondary to talk about it with their counselor. Pretty simple, huh? But the impact is huge because the exposure was maximized in the middle of the school.
All right, and another example, this is was implemented by Mount Vernon High School in kind of the northern part of our region. But the cool thing that what they did, and these are, like I said, these are all just creative ideas. We definitely want to make sure that you are just maybe just thinking about maybe doing this if you're a school that's never done it before. These are just a couple things that you could do. But what this school did is they printed out a huge map of obviously the state of Washington, or you can print out a huge map of the whole United States. And obviously students got to go and make pins on the location of where they were going to school at. Obviously, as you can see there's pennants on the specific schools there are. The students are also wearing the schools that they're going to. I know specifically, as a side note too, that schools are willing to send you swag and T-shirts and different things for these college signing days, because they want to make sure that the students that are already attending their school or already registered to go to their schools feel appreciated and excited about it as well. So please reach out to reps, reach out to the folks at those schools. And they, like I said, if they can't make it, they can definitely send you materials. But this is another cool example that they did with the map idea.
And as you'll see too, they have those pennants, which we have a ton from institutions. They've already donated them. So the pennants will be a part of the party packs. But it's just a massive visual, and it shows how accessible it is and how exciting it is to see people going all these different places from their school. Okay, so this next one is from a middle school. So I forgot to tell y'all, so when we talk about that school seed grant, we mean middle schools too. So a middle in our state did this kind of cool thing called Donut Delay, which how can you deny a donut? For some students, that's a really nice treat. And with that, there was a make a plan donut, kind of like the Pop for a Plan. And then students got to design a pennant of the college they aspired to attend after high school, and then hang that pennant up on a pretty prominent hallway in the school, and then get that donut in the process. So again, this was at a middle school, and we do encourage middle school engagement because it's never too early to talk about college-going culture. Because we talk a lot about college-bound scholarship, we would also encourage folks when they're thinking about their students that are college-bound is making that link between signing up for the scholarship and making this aspirational statement around the colleges they may want to attend. So again, a super simple way to engage students centrally and visually in the school. Those pennants were printed from our website. So that was that website toolkit item that you can download and print. And I don't know if you all have seen our video that we've sent on before, but they did a time capture of this wall. And there was a nice video that showed over time how more and more pennants were built. So the school was just seeing the engagement build throughout the day of students making this commitment and aspiring to a college. Okay, I think we're on to our last one. Oh no, we're not. Sorry.
Yes, no, we have a couple more examples. This one actually I really think is creative, and I think kind of the biggest premise that we're trying to hopefully get through to you is that you can put your own specific stamp on this. There is no right way to do it. There's no wrong way to do it. You decide how you're going to do it. And this next one is a great example, in my opinion, of students doing that. So this is at Tenino High School. And they worked with the audio visual department. So I think this is really, really cool. And lots of students, and I'm a big guy on like Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. And if students can post those pictures of obviously themselves in the background, obviously these are not real backgrounds of them being at the school. It's obviously photoshopped, but it's a really, really cool idea that they were able to do and get their the college logo and then just do a slideshow. So really during a celebration, this is something that can even play throughout the school day. This is something that can play through lunchtime as students walking into school. You can decide, like I said, how this is implemented or when it's implemented. But like I said, students get to be excited to be able to see this around. And really, like I said, it's going back to the celebration is to create the culture that we are celebrating students and their commitment post high school to whatever pathway they do. Like I said, 2-year, 4-year, technical, military, anything that they decide to do that they have a plan. I want to really make sure too that the students that are participating too have obviously done steps toward that plan as well too. In my experience, I've had some students that want to pursue this, and it's a great example for you to say, hey, well, you want to participate in, say you're going to Green River Community College, but you haven't actually applied yet. So let's actually get you applied before this event. So then when we do this college signing event, you feel the pride and you feel the excitement of actually being a part of that school and that community.
And I just really love also how the AV Club was involved. There are schools all across the state that will involve their student clubs in creating college signing events. It's a pretty great way to engage students.
Great.
So we love these photos.
Yes.
So never underestimate the use of mascots. So kind of depending on your region, sometimes you may have a local college in your backyard or even your high school mascot. But this is one down in Hoquiam, and they did a photo booth. And so they invited the mascot from the local college to their event, and they had students pose for the photo booth. It doesn't mean everyone went to that particular college, but it was just a nice, fun way to engage students. We see photo booths a ton. So this is just one picture and image, but a lot of times schools will set up like fake Instagram boards or just a photo booth that's fun with different pennants and examples. And what they'll take the pictures and then put the pictures all over the school. Not pictured here, but at another school, they did a red carpet that like ran down the middle of the lunchroom, and then they had a big photo booth. And so throughout the day when students were coming up and quote unquote signing to their future commitment, they were taking shots in that photo booth, and it was it's a very festive thing. Another example, so just to think about, so you've got a mascot in a photo booth, you've got a red carpet in a photo booth. One group did a photo booth and a sheet cake from Costco or cupcakes. So, really small investments at a very high profile part in the school can really show images and excitement throughout the day. And I do believe this all really bodes well for the selfie culture that we live in. So it crosses generations that we have these photo booths. And again, these ideas of like images of where people are going, what it looks like, the excitement of future. And it just builds that throughout the culture of the school.
Definitely. And obviously, as our kids today, they definitely love to take pictures, and we know that. So definitely photo booth. I'm definitely a fan of that. This next example is really, honestly, I think in a lot of ways, most of the schools in this region, or a good percentage of schools in this region, being kind of where we're located now, is these assemblies. And I think when I think about an assembly, usually schools already have some type of assembly embedded into their school culture. Whether it be a natural moving up assembly, whether it natural be some kind of senior, celebration assembly. That is one of the easiest ways to be able to kind of have something that's already in your school, on your school calendar, already like something that you could do, that you literally could take 5 minutes, or you can take 15 minutes, or you can decide how to revamp the whole the whole thing so that you can feel like you're doing. So this, a couple pictures, obviously we have Stadium High School, and then we have West Valley High School. So one on each end of the state. And these are just big celebrations. One of the things that I think is really, really cool is that I think student participation into these as well. So as you can see on the top photo, these are banners, and a lot of students, if you say, hey, if you get all the students that are going to Washington State University together and say, hey, you guys create kind of a banner, I think you get the buy-in from the students, and I think overall the success is even more because they know that they created this kind of cool banner. And obviously every single school that students are going to just kind of get those guys together beforehand and saying, hey, like you guys are all going to the same school. I also think what that does is that it creates this idea of when I'm going off to college, I'm not going alone, right? There's classmates, there's different people that I might meet along the way, but I'm not feeling alone in my decision to go to a specific school. But now I have this whole idea of I have peers that are also going there. And it's kind of a awesome too. You know, I know we create a natural rivalry, you know, on obviously each end of the state with Washington State and the Huskies. So that kind of gets fun as well. But any opportunity that you can have as an assembly to be able to celebrate students, I think it's a really, really cool idea. And like I said, just thinking about what do you might already do and then piggybacking on that, I think is really, really important for you. Or like I said, if your school is ready to do something radical and new, then hey, pitch this as an assembly. And I think really you get an opportunity to make sure that the underclassmen are actually engaged. Rather than you just kind of doing it and hoping they're engaged, you can know as an assembly that they will be engaged as well.
So we've reached our second to last slide, which is just, again, an invitation to help us celebrate this year and the state. So I do want to pass to Josh one more time. Josh has actually participated and run college signings, and maybe we can do a one like this is totally possible pitch for you, and then I'll bring it on home with how we can help. Yes,
definitely. I actually have been in previous roles. I was a counselor and then also a college prep advisor. In both of those roles, I was able to kind of be the driving force behind the college signing day. I want to talk about specifically 2 years ago, where I was actually the main person in the lead for the college signing event. And it was a school that had never done it before. So we applied online and we registered our event, and we were able to get the seed grant money for being a first-time school. So that obviously extremely helped out a bunch. And really with that school, like I said, they had never done it before, had never seen it before. So really I had to really pitch them the idea that, hey, we are going to embed this into what we already did as a school, because we didn't have the time or the resources to create something extra at that moment. And obviously, like I said, being a first year, we just wanted to kind of get this thing going. I mean, I know that specific school is also doing it again this year. But what we did is I literally printed off all of those materials that I showed you guys earlier that have like the date and the location. I literally just printed it out, had a couple students help out, and we tagged the whole school on this is a signing celebration. And I said, if you want more info, come and see me in the College and Career Center where my office was located. I had students in there, and then I gathered all of the seniors together, and we had a sign-up sheet for them, and they came and they signed up. Hey, and it was a great idea, to be honest with you, for the students that didn't have a plan. And we did this, I would want to say maybe late May, and the students that didn't have a plan by then, it was a great conversation starter. It was like, hey, okay, well, let's think about this and maybe let's come up with a couple different options. So I would also encourage you for students, or if a student hadn't filled out some financial aid paperwork, it's a really, really good conversation starter for longer conversations, obviously, that need to happen with students. So I think it's a great way for you to also touch base with students that you might not have. See, if you have a school where you have, 200 or 250 seniors, you might not lay hands on all those seniors, but this is a great way to maybe do a touch point, obviously, with the whole counseling staff or a point person, so that everybody can have a touch point. And obviously for the students as well, they can say, hey, they can have pride in, yes, I have a plan, or I have further conversation. So needless to say, we wanted to make sure that all of the students were actually going or participating in going to that specific school or military route, whatever. So we had them sign up. And then after that was the fun part. So I got to play MC for the day. I literally showed the video that we have online through the Washington College Access Network. There's a video online. I literally did it during a lunchtime. So it was a lunchtime celebration on a certain day. We kind of alerted the staff to where it was a college wear day. So we just, had all the staff wear college materials, and pretty much, like I said, we showed the video. I played music, celebration music, celebrate good times, come on, and I was dancing, and I also had the seniors, to get buy-in from them. I also had them create banners for the specific schools that they were going into. So we did a processional where they literally, we started playing the music, and they just started walking in with their banners and kind of waving at the kids. And at first we didn't alert the underclassmen, so at first they're like, what the heck is going on? But literally, as they were like walking in, like the kids just like start buying in, and they start cheering and yelling and screaming. And we had tables set up over in the corner. We were able to get a cake. We were able to also have food for those seniors specifically. I think we got some pizzas for them. And we had them come in and sit down at the table. And like I said, we showed a video. I talked and I said, congratulations to them all. And I also had used those certificates that were created. And literally, I said, we're gonna sign on 3. And I printed out the certificate of, I am committing to go to this specific, pathway. And then we said on 3 we signed. And as we signed, we all celebrated and had a good time. And the students were obviously extremely happy. The staff was really, really excited about it. And obviously the underclassmen were like, man, I want to be able to do that next year, or as a 9th grader, I want to be able to do that in a couple of years. So it's really, really cool. It was really, really low maintenance as well. Obviously, it didn't take too much work other than the work that we were already doing as counselors at that specific school. So I really, really am a fan of College Signing Day, and just signing day in general, just the idea and the excitement that students get to have the opportunity to represent their specific school.
So I don't know about y'all, but hearing Josh tell that makes me want to go to a bunch of college signing celebrations. So I've never run a college signing celebration, but as you know, we had 129 events this last year, and this is our 3rd year running the statewide mobilization. And the side that I'll share is I've been able to sit at tables with underclassmen, say during the lunchtime, and hear them talk about college. So while they're watching their upperclassmen signing, I'm hearing them talk about their dreams because it starts the conversation. And so that's kind of cool too, to see and hear that, a program that exposes students, and it was a table in the front room where they were signing pennants, was starting a conversation at tables with students about what they think what they want their future to be. So before I flip to the last slide, I just want to take one more look, kind of an environmental scan of this slide. So you see the pennants, which is a pretty cool way to showcase. You see the signing banner. So again, bringing in that concept of signing, like athletes have had the opportunity to do throughout the year. So signing that banner, signing on to your future. You can see again the use of the big paper that schools have, and pens, just kind of that they would use with athlete events, they're using for college signing. People wearing their t-shirts. I don't know if you see here, it looks like we had a guest speaker, Aaron Jones, come to one.
At Highline.
And again, the simple use of a printout pennant at that last slide. So if anything, we hope we've inspired folks here to think creatively about what you have available to you, and that it can be simple, but its impact can be so large in terms of the kinds of conversations that you'll start in the school with your underclassmen. And as Josh mentioned, the kinds of conversations you may start with folks who are needing to do work this year. And then finally, just honoring this idea, like we were saying earlier, about graduation from high school is a milestone. Plans for your future is what we're celebrating. This plan for the credential, the pathway, the choice you're making to do some sort of post-secondary or military commitment, to making a commitment to developing skills for your life. So it's a pretty exciting way to develop culture and really get a lot of conversation going in your school. And so we're going to land lastly on just the you are not alone. So here we are. Like I said, we're a small but mighty team. We cover gigantic territories. One of the things we have is we've seen a lot. And so, we just gave you a smattering of all sorts of opportunities that have happened across the state. But we are happy to come into your school and talk with you and your leadership around how to make this easy and simple and accessible by bringing in ideas that we've seen from across the state. We're sort of like a connector to, oh, hey, we saw this down the street from this other area, and here's what they did. So please feel free to reach out to us. All of our contact information is also on our website. And like I said, we're available to help figure out those ideas, chat with folks who might need a little bit more information to make that commitment. But I think the last thing I would land with is please, 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 if you are inspired by today, do take a moment to go in and fill out that form on our website, because the National Day is May 1st. So we're about ready to mail those party packs and do select the seed grants. So we're right in the middle of that. So don't miss your opportunity. Sign up now, and then work with us if you're working through trying to figure out how to make your event a success in your school. So I think we're turning now to questions, and I think, are we taking questions now, Yokiko, or are you first? Apologies.
That's okay. We usually do the questions at the very end.
Okay, I'm so sorry. All right, so we're going to pass now to our colleague, Yokiko.
Thank you so much, Michelle and Josh. I really do appreciate you guys talking about that. And I think it's really exciting to see where students go. And it's a really great, positive, and impactful practice. And that's kind of what leads us into talking about transitions. Because once students do their college signing celebration, they start to think about their future and they get really excited. And something that happens in between that is this transition piece. We see summer melt. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about a little bit is summer melt and transitions, and sort of what we can do to support students to make sure that they really do go beyond that signing, declaring, and then making sure that they get those those feet in the door so they can start their post-secondary journey. And we really want to emphasize that we know it's hard work, but sometimes it's very small interventions that can make such a significant difference for students. So summer melts in a nutshell is really the phenomenon when a student is, a college intended student, but something happens, there's some sort of barrier that happens and takes place. And so students don't go to school post high school. So there's a lot of different reasons why a student may not make it to that next step, but really it's sort of identifying, well, what is it? And it's really that sort of melting off of those well-intended students and they just don't get there. So why do students not attend? This is a really great question, but something happens, and a lot of times it's a number of small little things. For our first generation students, so neither of their parents have attended a four-year college or completed their four-year college degree, a lot of unknowns make students afraid, and so small things can seem super challenging. They can seem so much bigger. That molehill is really a mountain to those students. So how can we break that down a little bit more? And so it's really thinking about once they are outside of the safety net of their own high schools or counselors' offices, what can we do to make sure that those students still feel supported and still feel as though they have someone they can lean on, so that way they can get to that next step. So if you are someone who's in the school and you're working with students, what is some of the things that you can do to prevent students from falling through these cracks? So some things you might want to consider when you're doing this is thinking about what resources do you have at your school? What do you have at your disposal? Is it just email? Is it the availability to see students consistently to make sure you make those connections? It's also thinking about what kind of information do you have? Do you have a solid network that you're working with? Do you know you're getting information from the right sources? And then the other thing is just really thinking about the relationships that you've built. So if you have partnerships with local organizations, or if you've been really lucky to form relationships with the Washington College Access Network or other partners, or even college campuses, admissions officers, financial aid offices, student support services, really kind of leaning on those different network pieces to then point your students in the right direction. So it's really about thinking about having that network, an extended network, and sort of the spider web of reaching out and making sure that when students get there, that they have someone to kind of lean back on. And next slide. Thank you so much. So in the summertime, here is just some easy things that a student can do that can really be beneficial. A really big one that I'm a huge proponent of is attending some sort of orientation. There are a lot of colleges out there that do a summer orientation, which allows students not only to come to campus, but they get to see the campus resources that are available. It's a really beneficial practice because then students get to really get outside of their high school journey, their high school life, and be able to see themselves because they're no longer at high school saying, this is my new home, this is my place, this is where I belong, and this is where I should be. And so then they can feel that draw and that connection to their college campus. When I used to work in a multicultural student services office on campus, we had multiple orientations in the summertime, and it was really beneficial for those students to be able to see my face, see the resources that our office provided, connect them, and sort of make sure that they can see someone and they can recognize us once they start in the fall. The other thing that's really crucial is completing financial aid and other paperwork. Oftentimes we see that students are selected for verification for financial aid, and this seems really scary because students are unsure as to what does verification mean. They're asking for tax documents, they're asking for transcripts of their taxes, and it can seem like a very daunting practice, but if students have questions, they should just follow up with the financial aid office or the admissions office, because more often than not, all they really need to do is touch base with one office on campus and they can get their ball rolling so that way they can start attending. Oftentimes students are fearful, so they don't engage into that next step, and we want to demystify that and make it not scary and make it approachable. But we know that that often doesn't happen because when you get an official email and or notification from a school, it can seem punitive even if it's not. So just making sure that we address students, ensure that they are kind of following up, being persistent and not afraid to follow up. Another really big one is when students are doing the financial aid paperwork, they see their tuition statements, they see their bills, and they get really concerned and they think they don't have the money to cover that because they haven't looked at their financial aid award or they haven't talked to someone in financial aid. And so they're looking at a very big bill that they don't understand, and so it can seem very daunting. So that's another reason why I would highly encourage students to connect with their counselors and then connect with financial aid or admissions offices. A lot of times admissions offices are cross-trained in financial aid, so they can help a student look at their financial aid award letter or look at their tuition statement and have them understand this is what it looks like. We want you to be able to have some transparency to see what it does cost to attend the college or institution that you're going to, and then be able to say, and this is how you're going to meet these costs. Another very common thing that students forget to do, particularly when they're getting ready to start attending, is taking those placement tests. When students are going to the 2-year level, they can take those placement tests and get it put in appropriately, and it can be much more accessible. But oftentimes students are too afraid and they don't want to take the placement test, or they have sort of a self-assessment of what their capabilities are, which maybe doesn't meet what their placement was on that test. So we want students to remember it's important. They want to be placed appropriately. They want to be taking the right coursework. We don't want them taking something that's too challenging that will then prevent them from being successful, and we don't want them to take something that's not within their capabilities. So I just want to ensure that students are making sure they're accessing the right place at the right time and that they're in the appropriate placement. This is a thing that I will harp on all the time. It's connecting students to campus. So when we talked about summer orientation, getting students to sort of see what their campuses look like, seeing who they're going to be engaging with if they're attending classes, connecting them to campus, finding that face that seems familiar, that seems safe, and that seems like they can build a relationship with is really, really, really important. And these are just a handful of the places that I can think of as when I reflect on my own experience when I was a student in college, but also when I was working on the college campus. It's really thinking about if they're going to be living on campus, they should build a relationship with student life. So if they're going to be living in a dorm, figuring out who their RA is, figuring out who in their housing office they can talk to. So as it happens, it's inevitable if they're living on campus, they may have conflict with their peers whom they live with because it's the first time living with someone they've never met before, or they're not their family members. So making sure students know and they feel engaged too. And student life is a fantastic place to build community. When students are living on campus, they feel as though they're a part of something. They're a part of the hall, they're a part of their room, they're a part of their quad. So it's just a really great place for them to be able to see and experience and feel as though they are connected to campus. And what's great about some of those student life and the student residential places is that they have designated housing. So if students want to live in a house that is LGBTQ friendly, that's really important, and that's a measure of safety. And so students can feel connected and feel safe on campus where they live, but then they can also find other affiliate groups where they could say, hey, I want to live with other students of color, or I want to be able to build community that looks like me, and they can do that in student life. Another one that's really important is the Multicultural Student Services Office. Every college campus has their own name for this, but as a student of color, being able to have a place to go, a resource, an office, an organization that can allow you to feel supported, feel engaged with, something that celebrates culture, something that celebrates students coming from different backgrounds, is really crucial to feeling successful. When I was a student on campus, as a person of color, I felt most supported by the students I met in my Multicultural Student Services office. And so it was really a second home for me. So allowing those students to feel connected to campus is really, really important. Another one is disability or access services. So if you have a student who's receiving accommodations while they're in high school, it's really important for them to reach out for accommodations when they get to the college level. It's no longer just automatically determined. Students do need to self-advocate, and it's important for them to know that they can ask for assistance. They can maybe get a note taker. They can have some sort of intervention-based measures that they can use to be able to have support services on campus, because students are meant to thrive on campus. They're not meant to struggle, but they have to be able to have those supports, and they have to self-advocate in a way they probably haven't been asked to before. So it's important for them to feel connected by finding those support services on campus. The other two I put on here is registration and financial aid. Oftentimes students have registered for classes for the very first time, and it could be through an online module, it could be through a process they've never seen before, and they have to navigate, how do I determine which classes I take? How do I determine what's the most appropriate for me? And I would always encourage a student to talk to the registration office, because that's what they do. They help you register. They may also have information about your transcripts or different things about their student records. So it's really important to feel comfortable asking the registration office, how do you get registered? What does that mean? What does that look like? And then when it comes to financial aid, I call financial aid my favorite F word, so it's scary, but it's a really great place to answer a lot of those questions, because financial aid can seem so daunting. And when we talk about finances, people often get very scared and confused. And so the closer you can build that relationship with the financial aid office, the better. It's really great to feel comfortable going up to the counter and asking them questions about, when do I get my financial aid award letter? What do I need to provide? I did my FAFSA, or I did my WASFA. What should I do next? And it's important for them to be able to feel comfortable to do that. Sometimes making a phone call can seem scary. So if you're on a college campus, you can actually go to their offices, and that's a really great opportunity to connect. We have, through the Washington Student Achievement Council, we have lots of different resources available. I would encourage you to take a look at our Gear Up website. I think I say this every time I present, but our Gear Up team has done a fantastic job of coming up with different resources and transition hand guides. The amount of material that Beth Kelly has created is immense. I'm so in awe of what she's been able to create for our office and for the students in Washington State. And all of that stuff is available on our website. So if you go to Washington State Gear Up, you can find almost anything you can imagine. They have pennants that they've made as well. So if you want to have printed pennants, you can do that from their website if you aren't able to access some of those through college signing celebrations. But those are available, so you can print them and put them up on walls. They have transition guides, they've got booklets. We've literally got it all through Gear Up. If you have a need for different resources about financial aid, the College Bound Scholarship, the 12th Year Campaign, Passport to Careers for our foster youth student, or really any state financial aid information, you can find that through Ready, Set, Grad. Our office is happy to help. We have financial aid presentations. We have transition presentations. We kind of have a whole gamut of different information, so you don't have to recreate the wheel. You can just access what we have. And so lastly, it's just about contacting us if you have any questions whatsoever. I know that we try very hard to put this information out there to make sure that people feel supported, but you can always contact us online. We do have a Twitter, we do have a Facebook. You can contact us through social media. I am not hard to find through the Washington Student Achievement Council. There's really only one Yokiko who works there. So if you have questions about any of the material that I've talked about, I'd be happy to share it. And I want to thank my co-presenters, Michelle and Josh. Thank you so much for participating and giving us some amazing information. And with that, I'm going to open it up to questions. If people want to type them in the question and answer box, or if you want to contact us, you can do that via email. But I did see before in the very beginning, someone asked a question of, will we be sharing the slides? Absolutely, we'll be sharing the slides. We will have a recording of this webinar available online, so you can rewatch this, but we will definitely be sharing these slides out to participants and on our website. But if anybody else has any other questions, now is the time.
I think it should all be renamed to senior signing, like you said. It shouldn't be college signing. That excludes military kids.
Yeah, so if you guys have any other questions, or if you want to follow up with us, we'd be happy to answer those. I'll give it one more minute, and if not, we hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. We will be sending out surveys at the end of every year to see if there's different content or information that you want us to be presenting in the next year. But if you guys want to connect with us really about anything, we'd be happy to connect with you. So thank you so much for attending. Thank you, Josh and Michelle.
Thank you so much. We enjoyed it. And sign up for your event.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.